Within the world of fandom, or let's just say geekdom if you really want to use that word, you hear a lot about the phenomenon that is such and such. Well, what exactly is a phenomenon? Now, yes, you can look it up in the dictionary and it surely has some long explanation about what it is, or it has a really short one as well. It's blah blah, or it's blah 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 blah. But that's not what I mean when I say what is a phenomenon. For some fans, a phenomenon could be just the fact that, oh my gosh, 6 billion copies of this book were sold, or 6 billion copies of this book were sold, and there's 4 books in this series and they all sold that many. Or it's a book series, now it's a movie series. Or, hey, this TV show now got its own movie, now it's got more books. You know, a phenomenon when it comes to fandom, I think, is really whatever a person wants it to be, with the exception that it's got to be pretty darn big. But for me, a phenomenon is just something that engulfs every side, every aspect of a fandom. You know, wherever you look for certain, in any area, you can find stuff relating to that specific thing, that specific show, that specific movie. One of the easiest examples that comes to my mind right away is Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars started off as a single movie, and now there's 9 movies, at least 4 animated shows, some that hardly anybody watched, but they're there. How many TV shows themselves, books, comic books, the figures, it's all there. It's huge. There's no denying that. And everybody, basically everybody on Earth knows what Star Wars is. Well, for me, there's a specific one I want to talk about right now because it relates directly to me. And if you clicked on this video, then you pretty much know what that phenomenon or what that specific cultural icon is. I don't know what the words are, but you know what it is. It's Power Rangers. Let's talk about the phenomenon that is Power Rangers. I mean, all you have to do is look back at where it started. It started off as this kids show on a Saturday morning. Now, I would argue maybe that original was intended just for kids, and maybe the show still overall is a kids show. But you can't deny that there are plenty of things in it, when you really look at it, that we as fans of this show still love. There's things about it that I love, just the adventure. There's plenty of things, and I've talked about those things in other videos. And it grew from just a Saturday morning show to multiple seasons for 30 years. 30 years. Every time I think about that, it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe how long this thing has run, and it's basically been around my entire life. And in that 30 years, we've gotten basically everything Power Rangers. From the TV show where it started, to movies, to books, which I remember there being books, to even the audiobooks. There were audiobooks I remember as a kid. To comics, whether that was older comics or the new Boom comics, to movies in the theater, to bigger budgets, to different casts, to different villains, different characters, and the toys. I mean, this thing has engulfed the world. Now, yeah, some people are like, that's just a kids thing. And some people don't care about it at all. And that's okay. I'm just gonna say, that's okay. You don't have to like every single thing I like. You don't have to like this thing at all. You don't even have to understand why we do. But I'm getting off track. That's not why I'm here. That's not what this specific video for the 30 years of Power Rangers is talking about. What I want to talk about right now, like I said, yes, this is the phenomenon, but I want to talk about a very specific side of the phenomenon, which are the movies. I want to talk about the movies. And before I even get started, I'm just going to say I enjoy all these movies. There are some I just prefer over others. There's some I'd rather watch over others, which is why I am ranking them. So, real quickly, most people will probably know what I'm saying before I get to any of that, but I'm calling a movie just a standalone Power Rangers event or a standalone story. It doesn't have to be connected to the overall journey of the show, it doesn't have to be connected to the comics. But the most important thing is this is not like a two-part episode, because there were many times we'd get, I think, like, for example, I think there was one time when they put the Magnet Defender episodes from Lost Galaxy together and they called it like the Magnet Defender movie or something. Yeah, no. This is strictly things that were made that are not episodes together, but they're their own thing. So, to help celebrate 30 years of more phenomenal action, let's go ahead and rank all 4 of the Power Ranger movies. Coming in at number 4 is Power Rangers 2017. Now, like I mentioned in the intro, I like all these movies. But this one, yes, there's a lot I enjoyed about it, from the action to the look of the suits. I liked the way they looked. I liked the forming of the suits when they morphed. I like how they changed certain characters. I didn't mind that. I didn't mind the different looks of the putties. I didn't mind the different looks of Rita. I liked the new additional lore that they changed. I don't want to say that they added, but it kind of reflects stuff they would do later on in the Boom comics with stories of Zordon and his relationship to other villains and things like that. So it was definitely interesting. I liked the idea of Rita having been the Green Ranger. It would have worked perfectly for a sequel that we never got. I liked the fact that Zordon was the original Red Ranger. That was cool. And looking back on it and listening to people react to the original show and rethinking about it, the character that we got in Zordon there, that Cranston played, it's actually more accurate to the show than you think. I mean, except for the fact that they really boosted up Zordon being a jerk, being a dick, basically, and gave him a redemption arc by the end of the movie. Alpha, yeah, I'll admit, at first I was like, yeah, but he grew on me too. I thought the performances were good. I thought the cast acted well together. I thought the relationships, the interactions, that all worked for me. And the action, when they were morphed, it was great. I loved the Zords. I loved how everything worked overall for me. The problem is there's just not enough Power Rangers in this movie. And what I mean by that is not that there's not enough Power Rangers themselves, but while that is true, we definitely don't get enough morphed scenes. It just felt like there wasn't enough of what I loved of Power Rangers in this movie. From, like I said, there not being enough Power Rangers in it, period, to all we hear them say is, it's morphin' time. That was cool. I got excited. I'm like, oh, morphing sequence. Nope. Boom. Lights flicker. Then out they walk, totally morphed. Like, to me, that wasn't what I wanted. That wasn't what I was expecting from this movie. That's not Power Rangers. I always look forward to the morphing sequence in every season. They could have done anything. They could have done their own thing with it. But they chose not to do jack with it. Then I also had a problem with the beginning of the movie, where they find the power coins. I mean, maybe, yeah, sure, you could say, oh, they were destined to find it. And nobody else would find it except for these youth. But they look like they're just waiting out there for anybody to find. And that just makes it, to me, not as special. It doesn't make these kids unique, or like, it doesn't mean that they were chosen to be rangers. It almost feels like it's dumb luck that they found these coins. And I mean, I wanted more weapons even. I mean, Jason got his sword at one point, which looked cool. Nobody else got a weapon. We got very, very minimum fight scenes. They were good, but we got very minimum fight scenes. The Megazord battle, yeah, it was cool and it was good, but it still just didn't quite have that fantasy, that action, that coolness that you felt as a kid watching the original show. And there was just something about this movie that they dwelled so much on the human problems of the teens. And yeah, we could do that, but the show did that over a season. The show did that, kind of under the surface. And that's the thing I've always liked about shows to a certain degree, is when they have these deeper meanings under the surface. And it's not like, hey, we're gonna knock you over the head with it. This movie does that from time to time. And maybe it's a little too much. And even at times, I'll say it was hard to believe that these kids would have actually gotten along, been friends with each other. But with all that being said, it still was a great movie. I had a lot of fun with it. Would have loved to have seen what they would have done with it if they'd gotten a sequel, especially given that the post-credit scene was a hint at Tommy, and we never got that. I do love the fact that we got the Go Go Power Rangers theme in the actual movie. So yeah, again, a fun, entertaining movie overall. Plenty of good Power Ranger stuff, but not quite the updated version or look of a Power Ranger movie that I wanted. So that's why it comes in at number 4. So we talked about the worst of the Power Rangers movies, in my opinion, and the darkest one, I would say, In the Dark. Problem with that is you couldn't always see my face. I'm sure of it. So, talking about the lighter Power Ranger movies, lighter films, so let's go inside and turn on some lights. And we start these movies off with number 3, Turbo, a Power Rangers movie. Now, this is the one I suspect many fans would probably have as their number 4, because there's just so many things that fans say about this movie that is bad. There's just so many things about it that fans don't like. It's not a really great Power Ranger movie, at least for the time. Biggest thing being, I mean, it doesn't explain where did the Zeo powers go? Why aren't they being used? Now, there's plenty of videos out there on YouTube, plenty of fan theories about why the Zeo powers didn't work, or why they decided to go to Turbo. And yes, the next Super Sentai was Car Ranger, but still, why cars? But for me, this still has things that newest movie did not have. For example, it has a morphing sequence. It actually has a bloody morphing sequence where we see them change, we see them transform. This is a cast that we have been growing with, that we have been along with for the ride. Yes, some of them we've been along with longer, like Tommy. Some have been with us shorter. Like, and why can't I remember her name now? Tanya. Yes, Tanya. Like, Tanya will have just started in Zeo. And then you have some brand new characters, like Justin, that at the time a lot of fans just did not like. A lot of people didn't like him. And to this day, they still don't necessarily like the character. They don't mind the actor, probably, but they just aren't a huge fan of the character. And I'm not going to sit here and say, no, you're wrong. Everything is great about this movie. Everything works with this movie. If it did, it'd be a number one. But the fact of the matter is, if I'm given a choice between the newest Power Ranger movie and this film, unless I just watched this one, I'm probably going to pick Turbo over the newer one. Because it is Power Rangers. Like I said, it's got the morphing sequence. It has characters we're familiar with. To this day, characters that we love. Characters that have come back. Whether that was Adam, whether that was Kat, or even Tommy multiple times. It has characters that we grew up with, characters that we love. It brings back old favorites too, like Jason and Kimberly. Sure, maybe not exactly in the way people wanted at the time, but I have to be honest. I actually kind of like the idea that they put here. You have evil versions of Rangers again, but you do it slightly different, that they never morph, and it's just, the Rangers fighting each other. That's all I really needed at that time. Now, I don't remember when the first time I actually saw this movie was. I was probably at a friend's house watching it without my parents knowing at the time. But I just feel this movie probably gets too much hate. Is the plot dumb? Yeah, the plot is dumb. But so are half the plots to the original season, to the first season. There's a lot of really dumb plots if you go back and watch it again. I mean, yeah, they were dealing with Zoo Ranger footage, but Power Rangers has always had something dumb in it. Now, that's not to say over the years it hasn't gotten better at times, but sometimes it's been worse. Point is, the dumb stuff has always been part of Power Rangers. Whether that's just the idea of going from magical powers to car powers. Why? It didn't make sense. Again, except for the fact that Car Ranger was the next Sentai they had to use, but besides that, being on a boat to get to a mysterious island, following an alien with a magic key to get to the island, and then Divatox's to-be husband later on ended up being the Dark Spectre costume, and the movie looked like the budget of the TV show, but maybe built up a tad. But the thing is, that's what I wanted. That's what I liked. I liked having the feel of the Power Rangers show. I liked having everything I was familiar with. And I liked it being expanded. And the thing I like the most probably about this film, even though, again, it's not the greatest, is it fits in canon with the show. I mean, the very first episode of Power Rangers Turbo basically tells you what happened in the movie if you, for some reason, didn't watch the movie. So you know it's directly tied in. Instead of the predecessor, instead of the first movie that really has no connective tissue whatsoever. So it's got that going for it. When you step back and you ignore or you forget about all the problems story-wise it has, or series-wise that it has, and you just watch it, honestly, it's just fun. The music is good too. I still like to listen to the soundtrack. I still love that music. I admit, I've even played it while I've worked out at the gym. It helps get me in the mood because there's so much good music in it. And that's something I don't think a lot of people talk about specifically with this movie. So for me, that's why Turbo, a Power Rangers movie, comes in at number 3. Coming in at number 2 is Power Rangers Once and Always. Now, this is why I stated specific things at the beginning of this video. This is not directly tied into any season. This is not episodes put together to make a movie. Yes, it might not have been theatrically released, but it is a Netflix original. So to me, it counts as a movie. And I love this movie. This gave me everything I love as a Power Rangers fan. Sure, there were 1 or 2 things that would have made it even better, but I got what I wanted out of it. Now, I have a full review for this special from when it came out in the playlist down below. Go ahead and check it out there. I won't go back over everything I talked about, because in that video I talk about the good, I talk about things I know other people have talked about, I talk about why I disagree with some people and stuff, but a lot of it also is just me talking about what it is about Power Rangers that I love and why I kept coming back to it through the eyes of that special. Now, with that being said, like I said, I loved this special. It gave me everything I really wanted and stuff I didn't know I wanted. We had questions about how things would tie in, why things were the way they were. And they mentioned it. They made it work. They didn't need to give a whole 5-minute speech about why certain things were. You know, why is Billy back on Earth? Why are the power coins different? Or what's this and what's that? We got the backstory. It was either built in or we got a quick explanation, and that was all we needed. Now, would I have liked to have seen Jason David Frank back as Tommy before his unfortunate passing? Yes. Would I like to have seen Amy Jo back as Kimberly? Yes. Would I like to have seen Austin St. John back as Jason? Yes. I would have loved to have seen as much of that original cast as we could have. But they made it work here. I mean, yes. Clearly, those actors weren't in the suits. But you gotta suspend your disbelief and hearing their "ha-ya, yeah," you know, taking their sound bites and putting them there worked. And excuse me, just hearing Chuni Tang, I know I'm saying it wrong, hearing her say 1 or 2 lines again, even if they are from actual episodes, it just felt good. Even if, unfortunately, she isn't with us anymore. But I love how this story incorporated things that happened in the real world. I loved that it grew everything up. You know, one of the big things people were talking about is you can't use the word kill in Power Rangers. It's destroy. I'm going to destroy you. And here, Rita says kill multiple times. And it works because they knew who their target audience was. People like me who grew up with the original show. Clearly, we know people die. Clearly, we know they're trying to kill the Rangers. Just say it. But we got to see the juice bar again, which I loved. We got to see a version of the command center, which was neat seeing aspects of it. We saw an alpha again. We got to see 2. Sorry. We saw Rita, the original bad guy, or in this case, villainess of the original series. Yeah, she was different, but it was her. And the actress's voice was back. Getting to see the original Dino Megazord. Did it look cheesy? Yes, but it looked upgraded cheesy. It was cool. The costumes looked great. The story was entertaining. And for me, the biggest thing that I didn't know I wanted until I got it was getting the power weapons. I smacked myself in the forehead over that one because I'm like, well, duh. I loved the power weapons as a kid. I loved when they used them. But yet it never even crossed my mind to have them in this movie. So yeah, this movie had everything I wanted from it. Again, could there have been some other things that would have made it better? I'm sure there would have been. You know, maybe add another 20 minutes onto it, make it longer. That would have been cool. Let's see more Ranger battles. I'm all for that. You know, instead of just a brief image of Bulk and Skull, why not see Bulk and Skull? You know, maybe give us a little bit more story even. Anything would have been cool. I mean, more Adam and Aisha would have been great. But the truth is, what we got was perfectly good. It gave us as fans what we wanted. But that didn't mean we didn't want more. But it gave us that nostalgia feeling. But it's not nostalgia like what's at number one. And if you're a Power Rangers fan, I'm pretty sure you knew this from the beginning, and I'm pretty sure you know what's going to be number one. But before that, coming in at number two is Power Rangers Once and Always. And finally, it should come as no surprise, really, to anyone, that the number one best Power Ranger movie is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. That original film. It's cheesy as hell. It's terrible CGI. Just so many bad images of it. So many just cringeworthy moments. But it's so good. It's so much fun. It's so enjoyable. And yes, I admit, it's nostalgia. I'm sure if I tried really, really hard to judge these movies based on actual performances and CG and story and all that, this one definitely probably wouldn't be at the top. But it's not. This movie is my favorite. If you ask me, which Power Ranger movie do you want to watch? I'm going to go watch that original one. I was going to say 9 times out of 10, but I'm going to say 8 times out of 10. Because Once and Always is very, very close to this. But that original movie, it's just, it exemplifies everything that Power Rangers is. It's funny, it's entertaining, it's great action, great martial arts, plenty of humor, great memorable villains, cool new Zords, cool outfits, a awesome looking command center, which looked so much better than anything we had seen in the show. And I mean, honestly, better than anything we've seen since. From Once and Always to the reboot, this was the best command center. It was just so great. It looked fantastic. Clearly put the budget in. I mean, the opening scene alone makes me want to go skydiving. And I want to go sky surfing like Tommy does. And I know that takes years to do that, and I'm not insane. But I mean, it makes me want to do that. And Ivan Ooze is just such a cool villain. I mean, he's not Lord Zedd. And he's not other villains that I love. But he's just so cool. He oozes evilness. And he has his own maniacal... He's just twisted and evil. And he loves being evil. Like, I think that's honestly the best way to describe him. He loves being evil. And the way, I mean, it's even hard for me to believe that Freeman, of course I can't remember the guy's first name right now, who plays Ivan Ooze, plays the bad guy in my second favorite movie of all time. Sorry, Raiders of the Lost Ark. He plays Belloc. I didn't even realize that till a couple years ago when I got to meet the guy. And I mean, whether it's children, let me introduce you to my children, or how about take another squawk at it, or honey, I'm home. I mean, oh, not Power Rangers. Where's my autograph book? he has some of the best lines in Power Rangers, and he just does them so well. It's so memorable, even if I don't remember all the lines word for word, like as a fan I should. He's the one that makes that movie. And it's the cast. It's our main cast. Now, granted, it was after Austin St. John and Judy Tang and Walter Jones left the show. But we had Rocky, Aisha, Adam, Tommy, Billy, and Kimberly. We had our core six. They were all there. In the costumes we'd come to love. They upgraded them to actually look like armor. It was great. You got ninja powers. You got new Zords that admittedly look better. I think they look better in the show. But you got a bunch of cool ninja fight scenes. Sorry about that. I had a little personal problem there. But as I was saying, there's just so much great Power Ranger stuff in this Power Ranger movie. It upgraded everything from the TV show. And it's just so much fun. It puts a smile on my face every single time I watch it. There's not, yeah, the CG, let's call it what it is. The CG is bad, and it is clearly terrible CG. But that's part of the charm, I think, of this movie too, is it's at a time when bad CG is actually kind of charming, and it's just funny to watch. This movie, it's just enjoyable. There's tons of great action, tons of great humor. I mean, they don't use Bulk and Skull as much as I wish they would, especially based on the show, but they're in it enough. There's a secondary plot, with the young boy that's like friends with the Rangers. That part of me is like, maybe you needed it, maybe you didn't, but it does help flesh out what's going on Earth while the Rangers are off in space. I do love the look of the costumes, if I forgot to mention that. The armored look, I love that. And from the very beginning, it feels Power Rangers. From jumping out of the plane with the jokes, skydiving, to when they arrive at the command center, they hear what's going on. And then this is the first time we got a different morph sequence, which is really cool. Now, yeah, I do kind of wish they did it in order that they did in the TV show, and there are plenty of those edits here on YouTube as well. And I would actually say it's more than the show, because every character gets their own morph, shall we say. And we get more weapons. We don't get their weapons. Like, we don't get, the power sword, or the power axe, or the power bow. We don't get those weapons that we're used to. But we get other things that are unique to the movie and are actually just kind of cool. It's kind of interesting to imagine that they actually do have these weapons that they use at other times. And they lead to lots of jokes as far as I'm concerned. But right off the bat, that first fight, that first moment when they're first fighting the ooze creatures, that scene alone is just so much fun to watch. And the fact that when you really think about it, Ivan Ooze put Rita and Zed in their place, and they're like one of the only bad guys. He's one of the only bad guys to actually do that. It's kind of cool. But yeah, there's just so much about this movie that I love. There's really nothing wrong with it when it comes to it being a Power Rangers movie. It does exactly what we as fans wanted at the time. And I loved it so much, I snuck in watches of it at friends' houses. Same way I did everything with Power Rangers, basically, when I was growing up. And yeah, I still have a lot of fun with it to this day. So for me, as I'm sure with many people, that's why Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie comes in at number 1. And there you have it. That's my ranking of every Power Ranger movie. Well, shouldn't really say every, because every makes it feel like there's a ton, but there's not. But quickly going back over it, coming in at number 4 is Power Rangers, the 2017 film. Then we have Turbo, a Power Rangers movie, followed by Power Rangers Once and Always, and coming in at number 1 is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, that original film. Like I mentioned in the intro, there's things about these movies that I love. There's things I love about all of them. You tell me you want to watch a Power Rangers movie? Hell yeah. Oops, language. Heck yeah, I want to watch a Power Rangers movie. Bring it on. I don't care which one in the long run. But given the choice, do you want to watch this one or this one? This is obviously the order I would choose, for the most part. I think they all have something good about them. And there's always some place that they could generally improve. With maybe the one exception being that original film. Because I just think that original film is like a perfect Power Ranger movie. Again, maybe if we could have had a little better CGI, maybe if we actually had gotten the actual weapons we knew. But I digress. So, as Power Rangers fans, we are lucky. We have 4 Power Ranger movies. Now, granted, that's nothing compared to some. You got horror franchises that have 16 different movies for all I know. Or at least 8 or more. But Power Rangers is just its own unique thing. And I think it's pretty incredible that we have as many movies as we have. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of them. I'm looking forward to seeing what we get in the coming years with full-on reboots. Once Cosmic Fury premieres tonight at midnight, or I guess technically 3 o'clock here, and once this final season has dropped and the 30th anniversary has come to a close, where do we go? I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what types of Power Rangers movies we get in the future. Who knows? We could make up our own. We can dream. But for now, I'm pleased with the ones we have. And I'm going to keep watching them. I'm not going to stop. But, how about you? What are your favorite Power Ranger movies? How would you rank these 4? Is your list exactly like mine? Is it off by 1? You know, maybe did you switch 3 and 4 there? Or is it completely different? Like, for some reason, do you love Turbo? Or do you really love Once and Always and think it's the best thing since the first movie? Whatever your thoughts, comment down below. And don't forget to share. Because I'm really interested to see if there are differences in how we view these movies. But whatever the case, don't forget, like I said, to comment, like, and subscribe to this video, to the channel. I'm still trying to reach 100 subscribers by the end of the year. I don't think it's going to happen. But if it does, I'm going to try and do something special. Again, don't know what. But with all that, remember, read what you love, enjoy what you love. And let's all work for a better fandom. I'll see you next time. And may the power protect you.